Ah, excellent. Do you see that lamp down there? Pick it up.
This is a problem. What's going on? Welcome back. Developer commentary is off. Why? I didn't turn it off. I mean, I've played the last 2 sessions of developer commentary in one go, so I guess maybe every time you load up the game, you have to click developer commentary and enable it? Something like that? Well, let's try again. Yeah, now it's there. Alright, well, great intro. Now I'm exhausted. Tunnel Vision Games, take it away.
So in this level, it's the first time that the player encounters the portable lamp mechanic, as we call
Lamp
it.
tan.
And we wanted to ease the player into getting to know the mechanic, getting familiar with it. So it's very simple. Once the player pushes the button and the lamp turns on this platform and enlightens the path so you can continue, when you jump onto the platform, you're kind of in a small playground that is totally encapsulated all the way around, so you can't escape with the lamp. Because a rule in our game is that once you have a portable anything mechanic in your hand, you can't jump. And we encapsulated the player on this small platform to kind of limit their movement with the lamp and kind of get a feel for how it handled. And also we experienced in tests that people thought that they could jump with the lamp when they had to jump the gap, but they got a feeling that maybe I hit the space button too late. So we kept it very simple and contained them in this small pit. And the puzzle is, I don't know if you can call it a puzzle, but it's very streamlined level, so you can't really do it wrong. You have to point the lamp in the right direction to continue in the level. So once you continue beyond the platform with the lamp and you hit the button, the platform turns again, and the lamp will then illuminate the next path to the second part of the level, which was originally completely open, but is now closed off with a gate, giant metal gate that is open. And the original idea was just to make the level feel, or the place feel, bigger than just the puzzle area. The convenience of a small puzzle area where just the puzzle fit into, and then nothing beyond that. So the problem with that was that you were just simply walking for quite a distance without anything really happening. So we came up with just again a simple idea of having another jump puzzle with a train wagon moving sideways to kind of indicate that there's also moving light sources that you have to follow, or moving shadows rather, that you have to be aware of, and again to emphasize the danger of the shadows.
Yeah, so it's a very simple lamp puzzle, and then a small shadow puzzle at the end.
Yeah, just to ease the player into it.
Yeah. And for the sound in this level, it's a very, very huge level. It's a big level, and I've, as sound designer, I've worked a lot with the feeling of space and the reverb in the levels is very important. So in this level, the reverb is very long. It's actually the system behind is 6 different reverbs that I can mix in the game in specific areas.
Because it also changes a lot in the room size. You can, for instance, when you get to the metal gate towards the ending, you're kind of shrinking down the room around you.
The room size, yeah. So that's also in the connection halls. It's all they are always kind of small, so it kind of makes you feel safe because you don't have all this reverb around you. It's more enclosed in the connection halls. Yeah. And also in this level we have by the shadow Dex puzzle at the end, we have this train wagon that runs, and it's kind of a funny little thing because I encountered the problem that because the animation will reset the wagon, it also reset the sound, so it kind of clicked in place. So then we needed a solution for that. So behind the scenes, it's actually a circular motion of sound instead of the sound just snapping back with the animation.
So is it like a point with sound that runs in a circle back to its own starting position and continues?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously with the animation for the visible train wagon, it just resets once it hits its last mark in its animation path. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. I think that flows a little better, trying to like stay within the previous chamber so I can like look at what they are talking about and both understand it for me and show it off, I suppose. Though I did go in here a little bit since they were talking about the connector room, I figured. And yeah, that is kind of a neat little detail, the like reverb that, you know, goes down a lot when you're in the tiny connectors because it's not as open. I wasn't really thinking about that. That's kind of like, sound design is kind of very underappreciated, but at the same time, you just like, I think it's good that it isn't in your face. When you get it explained like that, you do understand that, oh yeah, that's what you did, and that's kind of neat and like makes it feel real and it makes sense, but you're not supposed to think about it, because if you think about it, that means it like stood out in that sense. So they did a good job with it, because I didn't even think about that like it just feels natural that the reverb changes depending on the area you're in and all that stuff. So that's cool. And yeah, just explaining the like basic level design of the puzzle, which that's that, I suppose. Also, I was gonna mention, I did look up what Vashta Narada is. It's a Doctor Who thing. I've never watched Doctor Who. So many puzzle games feel like they reference Doctor Who. I don't know what that like shared thing is. Specifically with puzzle games, in my experience, there have been so many references to Doctor Who, and they're just like little microorganisms that live in shadows and can like consume flesh or whatever, but they're completely harmless when in small amounts, but then when they like converge in like shadows, then they become like lethal and whatever. But I don't know what that would mean, hey, who turned out the lights, for Lightmatter. Like, there's shadows everywhere, so what would that mean? Is it you die to shadows multiple times? Like, how many times? Or is it something where if you stay for too long in an area, it just the light goes out or something? No idea. So yeah, most of these I'll probably not be able to just figure out, but we'll see. Anyway, there you go. I was here. Now I leave again. Bye.
Yeah, so this is one of the more fundamental puzzles in our game. It seems very simple, because you don't just have a couple of lamps you can play with. But we found out that this is a really important concept that this level teaches you.
Yeah, it's a concept that we use in different puzzles where we build on it, and that concept is being able to like bend around corners with light. So use one lamp to light back and grab the other one, and then you can build on that.
Yeah.
Like I remember we were inspired by Taoist principle and like the jammers there.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Some of the
haven't played that
puzzles for jammers were
unfortunately.
Kind of like this one, I remember.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because at this point in the development, we already went to a couple of conferences to show our puzzles.
Yeah, this might be what they mean.
Went to like the local library, and normally when you playtest, people know that they're being playtested. So what happens is they're very polite and gentle, like they don't want to offend you if they think the game is not good. And we did not want that. We wanted like a real feedback. So we talked to one of the people at the library, and they actually have a lot of gaming equipment, like AAA games you can just come in and play. So we asked, what if we install our game on your computer, and then we just go behind a couple of bookshelves and just stand there, so the kids who go in there, they think this is actually a real game and will play it if it is fun, and if not, then they will leave. So we did that, and it was really an eye-opener to get like real feedback and seeing how they enjoyed it and when they didn't enjoy it. And this puzzle was quite interesting to see, because some people, they just got it immediately, like the idea about using one lamp and then placing the other lamp at the cone of that, and like using it to bend around corners. And other people, they didn't get it at all and became quite frustrated. So that was really valuable feedback we received, and we could go back and like change it to make it more intuitive.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that was very concise, because I'm not sure what... I guess this is the mechanic they were talking about. They didn't start out talking about the beginning, because that was so trivial, I suppose. So the main thing is when you get to here, and you have to, like, use one lamp to shine back at another lamp that you used to get to the second lamp, so that you can then fetch it and lice? I was gonna say shine and light at the same time. Lice around the corner to get to the exit. And we can get the second lamp, which you're not supposed to. So, what if I... So it's when I go through this grate, that's when Oh! No, it's not. Damn it! I was gonna put it down! I'll have to do that next time. I can do that. I know I could do it multiple times. I just want to, like, place it down and see if it disappears. I'm sure it disappears, because I think you get teleported. Like, if we go back here now, that level is no longer there. Because it's... I guess that's, you know, to cut down on how much is loaded at a time and stuff, which is good. Though, still have those performance issues that I've complained about. Maybe one day that'll be fixed. Also, I have a feeling maybe some of these secret achievements are in these, like, little tiny areas. Or, like, side rooms or whatever, so I should be a little observant about that. But nothing seems to be here. Well, that was a short and sweet little dev commentary. Now, the core. Shut up.
So in this level, the player once again sees the core, but now from the bottom, very bottom of the core.
Man, it's so quiet though. I really wish they would increase the volume of this.
Again, because it's such a big part of the story of this game, and you're gonna see it throughout the whole game in different places.
Yep.
And also, like, having a huge beam, science beam extending through the whole facility, it's just cool. Awesome.
Yeah, and I guess
science.
One of the things we talked about a lot back then was also the Citadel in Half-Life 2, like having this landmark.
Half-Life 2 once again.
Yeah.
I can see that.
You keep moving towards, like, like a goal. Yeah.
Yeah, and this was where we actually started building the look of the core, because even though you see it in the upper levels of the facility first, we didn't have those levels built at that point where I was decorating this one. And we had to come up with how it looks like, and we always knew it connects some crystals. At some point it was 3 with 1 in the middle, but not anymore.
Whoa,
I knew that there had to be a crystal that's huge, or an amalgamation of crystals that are connected. But one crystal turned out to be a bit more readable, and we had to suspend it and give it a certain look that would be recognizable after having played puzzles for an hour. So it was one of the bigger props, so something interesting. And given that we already had the light beams that you walk around with the photon connectors, and those were suspended on electromagnets, I thought, yes, we're just going to scale it up a lot. So we made these electromagnets in the bottom, but then my thought was, okay, what keeps it from just flying off to the side? And we added these electromagnets that just poke into the wall and hold it stable, or somewhat stable. It's still moving a bit, and that way we got to create some lines that are pointing towards the crystal and create more focus on it. And at the same time, we had to create something that goes around the beam, because also at that point we didn't have that much visual effects and the beam looked way, way worse. So we had to create some sort of carcass that also, science-wise, it made sense that it holds the sensors and it absorbs light from the light beam and creates more energy. So we had to create a carcass, which went through quite a few iterations, but eventually I ended up looking at some Gaudi works and taking inspiration from that, and I listened to some podcasts about how he created his designs and tried to stick to a similar principle and created this sort of a little more natural looking structure that goes around.
And this level is like, in the beginning it was only surrounded, like the puzzle itself was the whole level basically. So we extended the area of this level quite a bit because we wanted a more epic view to the core once you entered the room. First off, in the first iteration the core was kind of stuck in a corner of the puzzle, but that presented some problems of why doesn't the core light up the puzzle, and yeah, obviously that will ruin the puzzle because you need shadows in certain places. So we went with this very like huge cave opening where you see the crystal in the distance, like this huge crystal that is it just looks powerful and epic. And
never noticed those.
Also, I don't remember, did we extend the way up to the puzzle a bit because we wanted
what if you shine light at them?
Finish his speak.
Yeah, well, we
something
can't be sure that he's finished talking when the player gets there, but
okay, still not.
But it still helps because we do have.
Can
a
I
lot
not?
to convey
Wait,
in this
they
part.
flew away?
And, yeah, I guess I can
No.
start with that. So it is a character trait that Virgil enjoys talking about the things he's accomplished and the things that he's built, and it kind of felt natural because he's pretty arrogant and has a huge ego, but the reason for it is actually so we have someone who explains like the universe and things that are going on and some exposition with that, and in order to not make it feel too forced, we made it just a natural like character trait. And also the other thing that he mentions in this level is building on the like your identity as a player, where like questions, oh yeah, who are you? And we did that primarily to keep that mystery going, so you keep questioning, well am I an inspector, and to have some questions floating in the air regarding that, but also to tell something about Virgil, like what are the things he worries about. And of course, you know, he's a guy with very much like the ends justify the means, and of course, an health and safety inspector would be something he would worry about. A guy like that sneaking around, and so it's a way to get him like more of his character fleshed out, get some more depth, but also give him a great reason to insult you like crazy
again and again and again.
Yes.
Yeah, and the puzzle itself started out as it was a way to show the importance or emphasize the importance of pointing a lamp in the correct direction. So it actually, for a long time, for a lot of us in the team, was kind of felt like a tedious puzzle because it was a lot of back and forth with the lamps. But it's our way to force the player to really think about how they place the lamps. Because if they place it just a tiny bit wrongly, they have to kind of backtrack and redo their steps to get it right. And that's a kind of a rule throughout the whole game. You have to be very aware of how you point the lamps. So that was the basis for this puzzle, and then of course it evolved into. First off, it was
looks like I can't shine on those.
Tile-based facility-like setting, very simple in our.
I remember solving that. That was actually the first puzzle that I tried solving in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point it was just plain tiles, and I got so lost so many times, and when I got to making it, I knew it had to be something asymmetric and something to give you a sense of where you are at that point.
Mm-hmm. Was it tedious when you...
Yes, very tedious. It took me so long.
It might still be, I don't know. It's difficult to not be biased. But it explains, emphasizes that important rule in our game, or at least idea that you have to place them correctly. So yeah, to get away from the tile-based setting, we already had the cave-like look, and we knew that this part was going to be in the cave. But I mean, going from the tile look to the cave look was quite challenging, because obviously the tiles follow our system, our what's it called?
Just modularity and
Modularity,
measurements.
yes, exactly. Where the rocks are much more natural, and all the rock walls and some of the roof are basically 3 models, objects that are scaled and rotated differently to give this look. And yeah, scaling it up, it had a very protruding parts of the object. So if you rotate it one way, it might stick into the level, because it's scaled up hugely. In some places, it might stick into the level at points, and then you had to rotate it back. But then you had a problem in the other end of the object, and it's just...
Yeah.
Building rock walls is not an easy thing.
No, it's... no.
I remember the rock floor was a problem as well, because it's hard to get it actually to draw lines well in the edge section, because it's floor that's scaled and rotated in funky ways that it would often look flat.
It just had to be that way, because at first I tried to build the modules, but there is no natural rock that casts a square shadow. No, so we had to improvise that and make it as natural as possible.
Yeah, so in some cases the rock floor looked a bit like snow.
Yeah.
But then Philip went in and added
I made some
rocks.
bumps and gave him tools to place those bumps on the floor and make it less snowy.
Yeah.
And to add a bit to the mine, we were facing this problem that the game looked really stale and dead at that point. And I tried to make a rat that would run, but that so clashed with the logic, because it would obviously die and sink into the shadow, and we couldn't make it just sit in the light. So eventually I made bats, because they're airborne and therefore would not sink into the shadowy floor, which is a little bit of a go around, but it does create some motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's generally been a problem, creating movement.
And a thing that we also implemented to combat that is particle effects, like just random dust effects in the air, which came in like the last week of development.
Yeah, pretty much.
Even though throughout the whole building I tried to make as many passively animating objects as possible. There's fans on desks and all sorts of perpetual motion toys and machinery that just keeps on working, but it's hard to make an environment so big look interesting and dynamic.
Yeah.
Well, that was a long one. Not too much to comment on here, really. Just mainly them going through, like, the creative process of designing the visuals of the game. And yeah, these are the visuals of the game. Yeah, not really much to say about that. But they did bring up that whole, we want you questioning if you're an inspector or not. And I still think the same way that, like, I find it a little bit weird that they want us to question it so much, but then in the end we don't actually find out, because again, probably we were a spy, I guess, but nothing is ever confirmed, right? So, like, it's just the last assumption that Virgil made, but he's made, like, several assumptions. First I was, what was I, a health inspector? And then I was, a journalist, and then I became his assistant, and then something, back to journalist or something, and then to spy in the end. So, nothing is really made clear, I feel, but I guess that's kind of the point too. Like, was I a spy or was I not a spy? I guess it's not really important to give clarity about that, but still, it's a little unsatisfying to, like, be thinking about... Oh, can't push that. Be thinking about that throughout the entire game, and then you don't get answers to it. Because then it's just like, why did you make me think about that the entire time? Anyway, I think I might have to leave it off here.
So, Health and Safety Inspector,
Hello, guy.
let me do your job.
I do remember
You see that
when
black piece of
this thing, no photographs. I just randomly, when I checked out the audio player, I clicked over to the NDA thing, and it was when he was like eating something and saying, "How did you get over there?" Which I believe is after we go into the vents the first time and listen to Ellen, her first tape. So I'll try to not progress past that point until the devlog has been completed for that section, and then we'll just see if I can hear Virgil, and when he says that, if I can like figure something out about photographs, if I can take screenshots or whatever. I don't even know how that would possibly work, but we'll see. Anyway, that's it for me. Sure is hard work sitting here listening to other people talking, so I deserve a rest. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!